That's my little rant over. And just like that, the game's begun. None of those stories will make it onto YouTube, thank God. But if you're coming in from YouTube, welcome in. 3, 2, 1, the game's beginning. Joshua on the north, Arctic on the south. And just for those YouTube people out there, and this is the first time I'm remembering to do this, if you like the video, please consider giving it a like. If you like the content on the channel, please consider giving me a subscribe. What that does is it will just tell the algorithm that people are watching this stuff, and it's worth showing other people who may like Factorio or Bite Battles something new, something fresh. So yeah, apologies Twitch people if that's a bit cringe, but I don't do a good enough job of promoting stuff, and I'm finding that a lot of people are finding the content on YouTube as opposed to Twitch. So I want to just make sure that those people have every opportunity to know that this is a game they could play. This is free to play. All they need is a copy of Factorio. Anyway, back to the game at hand. North v South, 18 on 18. Oh, short temper. Yeah, mate, that's honestly terrible. If you can't take criticism, it's a big warning sign, mate. Big warning sign. Welcome in, Abbott. You are, what a legend. A salesman. Welcome in, YouTubers. Come watch us live on Twitch. I love you guys. You're the best hype men and hype people anybody could possibly want. So at the beginning of the game, we are going to take a look at the map. I've specifically made sure that we did this at the beginning of the game rather than on the pre-build up, so that people on YouTube get the rundown of what's happening. What takes my eye the most is that we have uranium ore very close to our main base area over here, and because we're on piece of cake difficulty, we may not be susceptible to rushes today. That's not to say that they might not happen, but I believe we're going to see up to purple signs at the bare minimum. So we're looking at a 1 to 2 hour game, and then where we go from there depends on how fast each team wants to play it. So if one team wants to go to a rocket, another team might potentially just throw a load of spam at them and say, nah man, I think we can unseat you. In main base, in this opening starting area for both North and the South, really big nice 1 million copper patch, chunky copper patch, really crunchy iron ore patch here, about 2.5 mil, 1 mil there, a couple 100,000, about like 1.5, 1.6 mil copper, stone is 600,000, so right here in main base is everything you need to start your base off, to begin to research the early game technology, build up your base. An interesting lake appears just to the north or south of your base, depending on where you are, and this does cut off some building opportunities for you. So, you kind of need to build either beyond this, but then you're paving over some really nice resources. I would imagine maybe we just look at people building their smelting to the left, potentially, and then from there building the base out. But this does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, this lake. And for anybody new tuning in, the map is randomly generated, so we don't really get to choose what we have on the map. We just, as a community, vote for if we like the map or not. And today, for this particular game, near the end of a tournament, with only 5 more games to go after this game, so it's elimination for whichever captain loses this, this is the map we've chosen. But I like it though, it's dense. It's very dense, and there are some really nice patches. I mean, in terms of outposting, to the west, to the east there are decent size patches. It's a little bit condensed, but oil is abundant to the east. To the west, there is definitely potential for a rocket outpost out here. Definitely potential. I think what we're missing is a beard of stone, but if you were to rock up into this area, roughly, in south, maybe in between these two mixed patches, and begin your mega build, you would not be wanting for materials. And we may see either of those sides make that play, but at the beginning of the game, we have Marriage on south, threat farming, to begin this runoff, grabbing the bugs, dragging them towards their gun turrets, and slowly but surely just chipping away at the number of enemy bugs on his side. God damn, I don't want to cough into the mic, guys. I'm really kind of run down at the moment, so if I go silent randomly in the middle of talking, it's because I've just muted the mic real quick. Coincidentally, on the north, a very similar tactic is being employed. This appears to be the meta at the moment for threat farming. At the beginning of the game, we have some gun turrets around the base. They are mostly here to protect the silo from early rushes. For anybody brand new to the game, this objective in the middle of our base area, which is this half moon of concrete, must be protected at all times. If we lose our rocket silo, or the rocket silo is killed off by the bugs, that is the end of your game. The game is done. You have lost the game. So if your silo is on 1 HP and the south silo is on 0, you've won on north. It's as simple as that. Keep these alive, keep them up and running, and you're going to win the game. That being said, let me start a prediction off. Okay, so we got some smelting. Okay, both teams are looking to smelt above the main base area. They want to keep this area out here probably for production. But yeah, the problem with the lake like this, it stops us from building out to the east, which means that we're going to have two similar-ish builds to begin with. Where they go from that initial smelting setup, so for instance all of these lines, really matters to how they're going to build. But the north at the moment are building quite tall, so they're quite vertical in terms of their building. You could take all of this and move it down into this area, and there's a reason they're not doing that, which we'll see later on as the game carries on, sorry. But for now, it looks like the east is being prioritized by a couple of these outposters. I'm not entirely sure what they see out here. There's a lot of iron. Yeah, do you know what? It's good enough, actually. I'm assuming these copper patches will be pulled into main. You know, things like this iron, or in fact this iron, this copper can be pulled into main. So that's kind of nice. Do you know, I don't hate this. This is a really nice map to be playing a piece of cake game on, because we have an abundance of pretty much everything. And the point I was making earlier on, because uranium ore is so close to us and sometimes it's far away, we will probably most likely see nuclear builds. So we if the game goes the distance, which we think it may, we'll look almost certainly at a nuclear build coming up. So I'm just gonna have a quick cup of coffee and catch man, a new threat farmer. Welcome to the fold. Let's follow a threat farmer for a second. Let's follow Toddy. I'm just gonna quickly swig my coffee. And then we'll go through the different roles involved. I say this every week, guys. If you're new, feel free to ask questions to me. I'm more than happy to field and answer any questions you have about the game mode, about who's doing what and why we do things, etc. This is a bit different to building the base. Obviously, this is a base building game, but these guys aren't building. So if you have any questions about that, pop them into chat. We will also all answer them together. And beyond that, let me put the prediction up. That's what I was going to do. Let me put the prediction up real quick, and we can vote for who we think will win the game. So let's go to Twitch. Go to my creator dashboard, stream manager. Okay, perfect. I've put a prediction up, guys. Feel free to bet with your channel points who you think will win, the north or the south. Let me run through the teams really quickly, so don't bet straight away. You do have 30 minutes to put that vote in, so let me run down the teams and what they're made up of, and then we'll talk about what we can expect from either side. So, okay. Sorry, coffee first, and then we'll do our team rundown. The teams are here up on the left-hand side, and we have a good mix, an eclectic mix of skill, talent, and newbies. So Blitzy, obviously the resident noob, is on north. Califer Carl, Catchman, Detroit is in. Interesting, that's a name I haven't seen in a long time. Developer Ibrahimi, Joshua Menander, Meow. Is that another? Oh, so Meow's on north and Ooh Meow Fables is on south. We couldn't put the cats together. Shame. Muddlebox, Pavev, Quebibi, Shabuo, Sticklord, Tiomarx, Toddy, and Zero-Sun. What I see on the north is a lot of outpost potential. A lot of outpost potential. Carl will almost certainly build up main. There's some support players in there too, in the form of Muddlebox, Pavev, Sticklord. But yeah, I can imagine that this is going to be a main base that might not build up quickly. I don't say that to shade north, but I see a couple of names here, like Califer, for instance, who will almost certainly outpost, who I think will be streaming as well. So if you guys want to tune into somebody who's playing the game, Califer should be streaming this one. There might be a delay on the stream. But yeah, so north to me at the moment, and we'll see it happen as it goes, screams outposts, satellite bases. And main may struggle off the back of that. Satellite bases are incredibly strong though, so if you're going to vote for the north, maybe you think that's a winning strategy. And we'll break down why satellite outpost bases are good not too long from now. On the south, however, okay, Arctic's team. Arctic has themselves Banana, Cogito, Darknade, Gabriel, Gaming Guy, Happy Factory, Heptadecagon, Jimmy50, Just Bob, Lucky E, Marek, Nizzy, Presoso, Prox, Razgriz. Oh damn, Razgriz, Pipes, and Urum. Okay, wow, that is. The south is really balanced. I know that you guys. It seems like I'm making this stuff up, right? And I could be. I'm not. The south is incredibly balanced. The one thing I think I'm struggling to see right now is like a threat farmer that will go long into the game. I'm sure some of these people will be asked to threat farm, but needless to say, like Banana can outpost, Gaming Guy outpost, Hepta outpost, Jimmy is a main builder, Pipes is kind of everything, Malfables is an outposter, Razgriz is an outposter, Prox is a support, Marich is a threat farmer, Hepta, Happy is support, Gabriel support, Darknade support. I really like the South's makeup. I like their team comp. I like who they have down here. Now again, if everybody needs to work together in order to kind of make a plan happen and to pull off a win, but like North seems like it's moving in a direction where, with the way that it's been picked, you could marry up 3 people together. So let's say Caliphate Developer, Meow. I don't know who Meow is. That might be a Smurf. These 3 are going to outpost one base, and then Sticklord, Teo, and Toddy do another. Then Joshua, Pavev, and Catchman do another. Carl, Ibrahimi, Blitzy, and Detroit build main. And then you have a couple of people like Zero-Sun, Menander, Quebibi. You know, they can kind of occupy a different role. You know, get power, go threat farm. Or, you know, grab all patches, build main. On South, though, I think you have a monstrous outpost here. I think they're going to... Let's see where they're going with their people right now, because this is telling. There is one outpost at the moment. Gaming Guy's doing power, which we did see in previous games before. So Gaming Guy seems to really back themselves to slap down large power blocks early on, which is great. And Urumau Fables, Prox on Presso, P-Man, P Diddy, no, whoa, controversial. Sorry, I take that back. Jimmy's building up main, it's coming up nicely, 2 smelting stacks being slapped down, both being iron, feeding into a mall that will give us some early game items that will help us expand the base. Meanwhile, the North, as you can see, they've eyeballed out a ton of smelting. Any bets, I would say North is win. The South and North are pretty much at the same point in terms of their building and their production. What's very important, and we will keep tabs of this, is things like our production stats. So this menu, this little item here, I lost everything already. Damn. RIP channel points. So when each team builds their first level of science is a clear indicator. It's on YouTube, on Twitch. Cool. Okay, so this screen here is a good and strong indicator as to the pace at which a team is playing. It's kind of a tick box exercise. For POC, at the current difficulty level, we should see both teams get at least down to purple signs. So how fast they manage to tick these boxes, consume their signs, create it, is telling. And as we can see here, that the South have already started moving on to green. Not a lot of green, to be fair, only 16 jugs and 12 consumed, but this statistics panel, combined with our research, will give us a good understanding as to where teams are. Having research unlocked is one thing, but you then need to go and make use of the thing you have unlocked. So, as we can see here, as I expected, as we kind of talked about early on in the game, the North have a couple of outposters where I don't care about 5 days back. By the way, did you guys see on Discord? Neuro forgot he was the admin. No, in fact, That's a little bit of an understatement. Neuro forgot that he runs the server. Somebody asked in chat, hey man, can an admin deal with this? And he completely forgot. He was so into the game. I find that hilarious. So we have a couple of people with making small efforts here. Sticklord over here with one, Califero on another. These guys seem to be a solid threat farming team, so I assume that the North are going to have a large threat forming contingent, that being Zero Sun, Menando, Meow, Shabu, Catchman and Toddy. That's a lot of people working on threat farming. That might change over time, but for now, that's a decent effort to drive the number down. Detroit, if I remember correctly, is an incredibly strong player. I can't remember the guy's playstyle though. I need to kind of check my notes. But if I remember correctly, this guy was like an outpost monster back in the day. I haven't seen him in a while though, so it might be slightly rusty. And then developer out here with a build of some description, making the most of sushi smelting. So yeah, the North are not as spread out as I thought they would be, but give it 5-10 minutes and maybe we'll see an adaptation from that. We might see a change. Meanwhile, yeah, Just Bob's out here doing a little bit of iron smelting, and Gabriel already is primed and ready to go for oil. And these kind of plays you love to see, because oil is pretty close to main base. And quite a lot of it too, to be fair. 600%, 630% is nothing to sniff at. So yeah, both teams flying at the moment. Again, because we're closing in at the back end of a tournament now, almost all of the players have the reps at these high-level, high-stakes games. By the time we get to the end of our run here to the grand finals, I think we're going to have a set of players that are primed and ready to go, that are used to playing high-stakes, high-speed Factorio. So yeah, that's where we are with that particular breakdown. We'll keep touch with the outposters and with the satellite-based builders, but I think the best, most telling sign for a base, especially at the beginning of the game, is how fast they get the first 2 levels of science into their labs and researching very quickly. So as you can see here, red science is the most basic, level 1, green is level 2, requiring only yellow inserters and yellow belts. If you chuck them into an assembly 1 machine, that will fire out green jugs. Coincidentally, for red science, I know you guys already know this, for anybody that has forgotten or might need reminding, you need just copper plates, iron gear wheels, into an assembly machine, and out on the other side will be red jugs. And throw that onto a belt, throw those belts towards some labs, and there you go. Job is done. You have the first 2 levels of science. The South are slightly behind in terms of speed. You know, as we can see here, the North are pumping jugs out. And again, with this much science coming out this quickly, going into this many labs, Carl is no slouch. Like, he knows that the quicker you get this up, the faster your base takes off. So this is like a race, you know, the gun is gone. Everybody's now sprinting into a position, and the North are just slightly ahead in terms of the size and scale of their base. And I just, you know, it's not a damning indictment on the South, because again, both teams are running at incredibly quick speeds, but you'd hope that they can get up their labs soon. Otherwise, they're going to be a few minutes behind in the research. And these games are basically races. They're races to an end state. And so a small deviation at the beginning of a game, like a 5-minute break or a 5-minute slowing down, really does tell the later the game goes on. So, but one thing I do like the South are doing that the North aren't yet, is they're expanding their power before they need it. And this power block, once funded by this 168,000 coal patch, will be a monster. So this I like. This is a really nice play to make at the beginning of a game. Coincidentally too, I think that their threat farmers are less. So there's only about 4 threat farmers, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Hepta, Cogito, Happy, and Merrick. And the South threat farmers are absolutely firing into these bugs. Although not to the same degree as the North. Nini, welcome. That's a good question, and a perfect opportunity for me to pivot my attention away from the builders and onto these nerds, these fighting nerds. Now, as we can tell, Biter Battles has the word biter in it, and they are the main event, these bugs. At the moment, the North are fighting the bugs because the bugs are very weak. Up here on the top left hand side of our screen, we are given in blue the North's bug state, and the south in red. The north at the moment have a bug, so an individual bug, any bug on the map, is 2.7% strength, which is very, very weak. And you can easily, with a basic shotgun or machine gun, depending on how you like to shoot the bugs, you can shoot them very easily with low ammo. As you can see here, Toddy is getting attacked by them. They're not doing any damage to him. What 2% means, or 2.7% means, is that they are very low in HP, low in damage, low in speed, easy to kill. And because of this, the North have decided to dedicate people to come up to this part of the map and to kill the bugs off. Which seems a bit weird, right? That seems like, why would you do this? Because the bugs aren't attacking you. You're running to them and attacking them. And over the course of a game, these guys will get bigger. There'll be thousands, if not millions of them, and they'll be too strong to fight. So we have to have a massive base defense around our base to keep ourselves alive. But at the beginning of the game, because the bugs are so weak, what we can do is we can go off and kill them and take what would normally be a positive number of bugs and kill enough of them to make that number negative. Now here's where the explanation gets a bit odd, but bear with me, stay with me. It will make sense at the end of my explanation why we do this. So the thing to remember here, if this number is positive, so if it is above 0, so even 1 to 100 to 1000, but if it's a plus number here, the bugs are active and they will become aggressive and they will flood the map. And thank you, Nini, because I can finally get my drawing tools out for the first time today. So this is my favorite part of the stream. Drawing on stream. So the bugs have attack patterns, and as we see later on in the game, they will come down the map very strong. They will evolve over the course of time, and they will be able to kill us off very easily. So what we do is we take the fight to them, and we kill off so many of them that they need to respawn. So the negative number in the top left hand side of your screen is how many bugs need to spawn back onto the map before they can get aggressive and come back down. So by coming up to the bugs area, which is this large area to the north, and to the south it's down south, we can neutralize their threat by killing them off, driving their number into a negative, and what that does is it gives us a window where we can play the game and build our base without bugs attacking us. Now, if we stop farming these bugs, this number will go back to normal and go back to positive. So it's a yo-yo effect. You can kill them off, but they will respawn. These buildings will respawn bugs. So you need to come back here and kill them off and let them respawn and kill them again. And in 30 minutes time, 40 minutes time, they'll be so strong that unless you have more advanced items, like capsules and grenades, you're not going to be able to kill them. So you have an option here at the beginning of the game to kill as many of these as possible, but later they'll be very difficult to kill. This is what we call threat farming, and the idea is that we just put the number into negative. Number go down, good. Number go up, bad. And at the moment, the evolution state is low, but when the evolution goes to 50%, 60%, 70%, these bugs become too strong for bullets, and you need really strong items like poison capsules, and you'll need lasers to kill them. So what I'll do, I'll check in on our threat farmers through the game, but it's an integral part of the game, and both teams will be doing this. As you can see here, Sleepy is using grenades. I love this tactic. This is one of my favorite tactics to employ. What we do here, if we're Sleepy, is we grab my arrows. Am I doing this right? Can I draw on? No, I can't draw on screen because I'm doing this. Sleepy is, and then he's not on screen right now, but he'll appear again. He's going into the bug area. Bollocks. Sorry guys, it's been a second. I'm still waiting for the coffee to kick in. He is. Let's click that off. I need my arrows. Where's my arrow? Here we go. He's going into bug territory and then coming out again. What that's doing is that's grabbing some bugs. As you can see here now, he has a group of bugs behind him. He's then running around, and as they get close to him, as they horde towards him, he'll run in a pattern such that he will collect as many bugs as possible into a circle. So what we tend to do is we create a bit of a cyclone where we spin in circles. The bugs will then envelop our character model. We throw a grenade at the ground, and as you can see here, these little bubbles of dead bugs. It's the most efficient way to threat farm. So yeah, I like this version better than shooting them. Grenades are much more efficient down the line cost-wise. But yeah, they're, as you can see here, minus 1,000, minus 1,200 on the south and the north. They're both hammering the bugs at the moment because they're super weak. Meanwhile, in main base, Jimmy's labs are finally up and running. They are down with red and green signs flooding into the base. What we can now take a look at is what we're researching. And already the north are massively ahead. Look at all of these techs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 techs ahead. That is wild. We are 25 minutes into the game, and the north have... now again, some of these researches don't take very long, but you'll still have them ahead of your opponent, right? You still have that stuff first. So you can build up your fluid handling, you can get your oil gathering, you can go ahead and grab your sulfur. These guys have yet to unlock any of that. That's scary, dude. Did they take like a research pack at the beginning of the game? Like, how did that even happen? But that's an incredible advantage early on to gain. And as the South slowly chip into this research, they'll both end up with it unlocked. But yeah, Carl, man. Is Carl faster than Jimmy? Because it seems to me like there's only 3 people here. Oh, there's a few people down below, you know, it's kind of building oil and stuff. But yeah, Carl, Pavev, Menander, main base is absolutely flying. And again, for 26 minutes into a game, this is breakneck speed. Now, obviously, the South aren't slouches, and I'm sure they have an adaptation they're willing to kind of throw down onto. But my question here is, base number 1, main base. Actually, wait. Let's take a breather and let's just assess this situation, because this could be a lot more dangerous than it looks. And I'm going to look into my crystal ball here, and I'm going to tell a story in a second about why I think the North might be slightly in danger. In fact, I think the North are very, very much playing a risky game here. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. I'm just going to have some coffee and then I'll explain myself. Okay. I'm going to snooze ads real quick. I'm going to pull up my drawing tools again. Apologies for any of you non-MS Paint enjoyers, but this really does help me explain my thinking and also teach parts of the game. So, main base area. Let's eyeball out where we are. At the moment, this box on the south. Do you know what, purple is a terrible color for this. Let me go for something a bit nice, a bit brighter. Let's go red. Apologies for anybody out there that's red, blue colorblind. I'll try and mix it up. Inside of this red box for the south is their base. There are a few things that are happening to the sides of the base and to the south, but if you were to defend the main heart of your base, it's in this red box. Meanwhile, on the north, if you were to defend the north space, you have a box this size that will grow. So I believe, and I may be wrong here, I believe in the south, Jimmy has an efficient enough build to slam most of their signs into these resulting areas. So I think they can squeeze most of what they need into this tiny red box. The north, I don't think have the same opportunity, and I believe their base may expand slightly beyond the borders of this. What does this all mean, right? Why am I talking about boxes? Why am I talking about sizes? Like, later on, we're going to have to defend the area that we decide to build our base into. And if we have a large, sprawling base that goes over a large, like, space, basically, then what we have to do as players is when we have to defend our walls, if we die, for instance, we have to run far away to get back into the fight. Now, at the moment, obviously, the base is small, it's compact, there's no threat, but we will see a base later on crumble. We will see a base that goes completely, anti and gets beaten up and eaten by the bugs. And if I'm on either side of the pitch, I'd be more worried if I was on the north because of the verticality of the base than the south. which don't have a particularly vertical base, and I'm kind of opting for a more lateral build. Because if you, let's be honest, and this happens often, and I don't know why we do this, because I wouldn't advocate for it, but let's be completely honest, the North will defend like this. They will, they'll throw their threat farming base in as well. Dave, welcome in, mate. Nice to see you. This is the other side of other side of Factorio that we get involved in. This is very high level nerdery of a highest order. So yeah, in terms of defending space, I would much prefer to defend south. The box is smaller, it's easier to get to the perimeters of your base. Meanwhile on north, if you cover this space, it's great, but you also covet this space, meaning you are choosing to defend this dead space. So yeah, welcome in, guys. I planned on being online yesterday. I was driving home with my fiance, her car broke down and just completely imploded, so I managed to miss not only the vanilla playthrough that we're doing, and by the way, just a quick note to anybody watching, I'm currently running a practice server where we're going to make a mega base, but it's in slow time. Everybody is available and able to play this. I'm not making it exclusive. If you want to play some Factorio with a couple of nerds like me, and also Dave, as well as many others, you're more than welcome to join us. Just DM me or message me in Twitch, or when you see me streaming, just go, hey man, can I jump in? We're planning on building a big train, and we're planning on building a big base. And if that sounds like fun to you, then yeah, feel free to get involved. I'm going to be running that pretty much during the week, and also the weekends too. But my weekends, Factorio-wise, for now, are going to be tournament-based, bite-to-battle based. We are in for a hell of a game, because the North, as we noticed earlier, managed to get their research. Yeah, they've locked in so much. They've even locked in blue military science. That's wild. We're 30 minutes into a game. Carl is moving at a rapid speed. We already have red chip production, what looks like anyway, an enormous red chip production. So again, Carl, being the man of maths that he is, knows exactly what he needs in order to win a game. He's obviously not captain, but Joshua has picked him for a reason, and that is for Carl to do this. I say this every week. If you want to watch high-skilled Factorio players, this is a server that you want to go into. Even if you don't want to play biter battles, but you just want to see how you build like a really compact base, right? How do I get red and green science without spaghettiing my base up? How do I do this? I would highly recommend grabbing a coffee, coming into a biter battles game, and just having a scan around. You know, this isn't all guesstimation. The guys know that they need this many smelting stacks to go into this many labs to produce this many items to win a game, to get to the end game, to go to, yellow science and beyond. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I may also, if I've got some time at the end of this stream, I might just load up the Mega Base world for a little bit, Dave. I might throw down for an hour or two, depending. This game may go on for a while though. It's not certain the exact time frame of a game like this. We could be in for a 60-minute thriller, or we could be in for a 2.5-hour slugfest. I don't mind either way. I don't think it's going to go beyond 2.5 hours, but yeah, these things are long and slightly grindy, but good nonetheless. And for anybody joining that I haven't already said hello to, welcome in. I hope you're having a good weekend. I hope you're staying warm. I'm a little run down. I was on the side of the motorway most of yesterday getting rained on, which is amazing, and so I'm slightly ill at the moment. I'm going to try not to cough into the mic, and I'll try not to splutter, and yeah, just all the things that you shouldn't do as a streamer. Also, for everybody on the YouTube videos, thank you for the feedback. I know I'm talking to a set of people that aren't here right now, which is a bit odd. I'm talking to the future, but if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for the feedback I've been getting. It's really helpful to dial in my microphone settings, dialing in the music. I promise you this, I will never turn down feedback. It's all really, really helpful, and I'm old enough and wise enough to know that I don't know everything. So I'm not sitting here imagining that this is a perfect stream. There are definitely things I can correct. Like, for instance, chat is a bit tall and it covers up part of the screen sometimes. So I'm going to find a way of making this smaller and repositioning it in such a way, like this for instance, where we don't cover up the map. There we go, perfect. Look at that, I've just solved the problem that my chat told me about last week. So yeah, needless to say, we're working on it. It's getting better every week, and bear with us. Hopefully we'll have the right formula for this in the not too distant future, at least bare minimum for the semi-finals and the finals. So yeah, welcoming YouTube people. I don't give you enough praise, but yeah, the channel is growing. We're almost at 2,500 subscribers, which is mental, honestly. Like I when I started this channel off, if 5 people wanted to tune in, like I would, that was like incredible, you know, numbers wise. And you know, even if one person comes in, my grandma watches every now and again. She doesn't know what's going on, but she likes the fact that she can see me now, you know, like she can see me moving about on the screen. Yeah, it warms my heart. So I don't do this that often. I'm not going to plug myself, but you know, like tuning into the content, chatting away, leaving a comment, leaving a like and a subscribe or whatever, what that does, I don't make any money out of that. I don't really care to make money off YouTube and Twitch. It's just fun to do. But what it does is it tells the algorithm that this is something that that other people might enjoy. And there are lots of people joining Discord now saying that the YouTube algorithm showed them Bite Battles, and so now they play the game. They're in the Discord. They're learning as new players, and I think that's amazing. So yeah, if you're out there and you found the content through YouTube, thank you. The plan is not world domination from my front. I'm certainly not looking to take over the world with streaming and, you know, with the content creation or any of that stuff. But it's nice to know that our little corner of Factorio, our little corner of video gaming, people are really enjoying it, and some people are taking the challenge head on, and they're actually seeing this and they're going, yeah, I want a piece of that. I can beat Carl. I mean, let's be honest, we can all beat Carl at Bite Battles. That isn't an achievement in and of itself, but it's something you can aim for, guys, you know? Aim for the moon, and if you miss, you're still amongst the stars. So yeah, all right, back on track. So I thought I need to remind myself of saying stuff like this as well, because I forget how much things have grown, and what I don't want to be is seen to be ungrateful, because I'm just a guy with a microphone, an incredibly legendary skill set, and the people that really make it are the people that engage with the content, and the people that join me, like you guys now with Twitch. Yeah, hitting the moon is slamming into the moon. I've heard it's made of cheese. Oh my god, I've got a bit of a tangent to go on, and some of you may like this and some of you may not, but we're at a phase in the game now. So let me I'll give a run through of the game, and then I'm going to go on a tiny little tangent, and I hope you guys will appreciate this. So let's work clockwise around the map, starting with our base over here with Teo. Teo Marks looks to be building on the north. A lot of power from this coal block here. You love to see it smelting down the relevant items from this mix patch. Power is going to be a problem all the way through the game, so this is a fantastic play to make. We love our power builders because they just go off and they do the thing. We don't ask much from them, they just get involved. QA Baby is getting some oil for the north. Meanwhile, this outpost by Califer looks to be making a little bit of everything, chips mostly. So maybe this is another version of chip building. And as I move around, Sticklord doing another set of mixed smelting, sushi smelting. So again, this could be anything from lasers to chip production. Main base is building up really nicely. Blue Signs looks like it's about to turn on. Yeah, Blue Signs is looking really, really nice at the moment. Very tasty. With some prod. Oh, damn. Prod 1's already 38 minutes in. This is super quick. The threat farming outpost, I'm assuming, yeah, is chesting grenades and looking to build up our capsule production down the line once we unlock that technology. And obviously our threat farms are threat farming. Moving further across, we have Developer and Enkling with another sushi smelting build. So again, 3 sushi smelters. I don't hate it. I'm not entirely sure what we're doing with that. Detroit over here with a little bit of power. And the beginnings of a mall. Meanwhile on south, moving around the clock, Gaming Guy smashing out the power on south. We have Presso, Uwu Mouth Fables. Probably going for I would assume this is a laser build, right? I think that they're going to try and make a laser outpost happen here. But this is looking really nice from an outpost standard point of view. Main base, let's take a look. Smelting lines are up and running, they're all pretty full. Blue is looking to start, although they're slow on their red chip production. Interesting. So the north prioritized getting their red building down first, So they wanted these producing and almost overproducing so they could chest a moderate amount. 130 red chips at this stage of the game is not bad. Meanwhile, the South, they're just a little slow. I know that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that one team got there first, and that is the North compared to the South. The North bricked their blue build. No way, hang on, sorry. Because it hasn't produced yet, and I'm wondering, what are we missing? There's everything, right? No, there's no outgoers. There's nothing putting it out onto a belt. Oh no, their spacing is wrong. Oh no, wait, or am I wrong? You could put a red inserter on the other end. So okay, you could fix this. You could fix this. You put red inserters on the other side, and then they feed a belt over here that joins, right? But no, you're right, mate. What a great spot. What a great spot. They are producing, but they're not offloading their science. Damn. Now again, they have a lot of science in each building. Oh, Carl, do we think Carl is stream sniping? I mean, it's the obvious play. I can't say that, yeah, nah, he's not streaming. That's just the obvious thing to do, right? There's no way you pull this build up. It's down, it's working. Don't stop it from working. But yeah, I'm just saying, man, hey, if I was in main, these mistakes would not happen. But it doesn't matter. It's how we correct, how we correct those mistakes. And yeah, they managed, although that being said, with that small mistake, the South have managed to produce and also make enough blue to start sending on their own belt. So here we should see the very first blue flasks making their way to North research, and with a little bit of a mistake there from the North, the South have managed to claw a bit of time back. Here are the first few blue jugs. Not as many, obviously, but it's those, like I say, it's minor mistakes, right? 20 seconds here, 20 seconds there, slows you down, and it just gives another team an opportunity to come back into the game. So yeah, the North made their first blue at 35 minutes. They haven't consumed any yet. The South at 39 minutes. Again, they've made less, but yeah, the South breaking a little bit of time off, breaking a little bit of time back in their favour. I like it. I was going to go off on a tangent. Let me continue my clockwise look around the map, and then we'll go on a bit of a tangent, because I have something I want to say about the moon, believe it or not. So the defensive outpost on the South, they are creating cars. They should be making some grenades, I believe. If not, we handcrafting. This is a huge amount of steel. Okay, yeah. So this is going to be our production for capsules. Huge. I was going to say, this is a lot of steel, but if you're going to use it and you're going to threat farm a lot, you're going to need a ton of it. So, and smelting a mix patch like this isn't going to get it. The furnace position of North may help them. I like how I don't love how vertical their positioning is, but I can imagine Carl has a build which definitely keeps everything tight. And I mean, as you can see here, right, on one screen, if I turn myself off real quick, and I turn my little, science here, level 1 and 2 here, level 4 here, science, this may be purple. Oh no, this is military, which means we have a box here to build purple and yellow in, and in one screen, effectively, one 1080 by whatever screen, we have every level of science that can squeeze into this block. Meanwhile, on South, you could argue that we could do that here, but it's a bit more jumbled. We don't have a lot of open space. Maybe we can put military here or here. Blue is obviously just down here to the south. Purple, yellow could squeeze into gaps, but it's going to be a little bit more spread out. So we want everything as compact as possible, just to make things more efficient, effectively. Okay, right, and to finish off my looping around the area, Just Bob with a little bit of basic power creation. Nizzy over here, probably getting this coal for a massive power block. Again, you're going to need a lot of power, so that's a huge play to make. And Processo is clearing bugs for more coal. Okay, so more power being building. Perfect. Okay, minor rant about the moon. How many of you guys... So, I don't need to know exact numbers, but how many of you guys, when COVID happened, the pandemic kicked in 2019, 2020, I had a lot of people that I thought were normal. And again, I'm not going to judge. We listen, but we don't judge. There are a lot of people that I bumped into that I had as friends, that I had done work for, that I had played, rugby with, who started coming out with some pretty aggressive statements about how flat planets are and how the moon isn't real. And initially I thought it was some really low-level trolling, but I realized very quickly on that there are a lot of people that I knew that didn't believe. Like chemtrails, and be skeptical, ask questions, Don't believe everything you see and hear. Believe what you see, believe what you read, and what you read into what you read is your opinion, of course. But there are people who are very smart individuals, people like PhDs, that were questioning whether or not the Earth is real or flat, questioning whether or not the moon was real. Like, moon landings aside, even whether you think that was staged or not, questioning whether or not the moon is real is wild to me. I went from having like 100 Facebook friends, like 120 Facebook friends, massive brag on my front, I know, right? Not all of us can be as popular as me. Mate, I must have got rid of like 100 people, honestly. Birds aren't real. According to a friend of mine, pigeons aren't real. A friend of mine who is a delivery driver for a Chinese restaurant went on these long tangents. Obviously, we're all in lockdown, so we haven't got anything better to do. But we've got on these huge rants about how the government have put brain chips in everyone and they're listening to our thoughts. And I remember saying to him, I was like, are you sure? Because, like, you deliver Chinese food. I don't think you have the intricate knowledge of the way the universe works tucked away in your brain. And if you do, why aren't you using that for better or for worse, Like, there's nothing wrong with delivery food, by the way. There's nothing wrong with delivering food, but just having these incredibly wild conspiracies, like throwing them out on social media, honestly, mate, I was like, what are we doing? What are we up to? Straightener, I believe that is the first death of the game. And with it, a steam boiler goes down as well. So not only straightener, but yeah, no, I agree with the, yeah, dude, I agree with that, yes. We're not that interesting. I know. I kid you not, guys. I don't know anybody that works for, those levels, the FBI, the CIA, MI5, any of that stuff. But fucking hell, lads, there's nothing going on in my life that is... Do you know how much time and effort would need to be put in to follow me around to learn nothing? Literally nothing. And yeah, you could argue, oh yeah, there's probably some AI bot that's like scanning Discord and fucking hell. Lads, there's nothing happening. There's nothing going on in my world that would warrant that level of scrutiny. Now, I argue that I should have a right to say no to it, but let's be honest, right? If the CIA wants to figure out who I am, it would take them a fucking millisecond. You don't really have much of a choice. Now, there's some comfort in that because there's nothing that I know that's worth knowing, other than how to be a legend. And you can't get that out of me. I'll never tell you the secrets. Torture me all you want. You'll never know the secret source. I'll take it to the grave. Because biter battles is serious business. Serious business. And I can't be giving up the secret source. But no, I agree with planes pollute massively, mate. I remember seeing somewhere wasn't there a celebrity recently that got outed? I think it might have been Taylor Swift. I'm coming after celebrities today, guys. It started with Elon Musk and it's going to Taylor Swift. They're all for promoting sustainable living, kind of like recycling and green energy. But you can't be taking a private jet everywhere and then tell everybody else to turn their TV off at night. It's wild, mate. Honestly, like, how can you take 200 to 300 private jet trips a year? That's like one every day almost. And then tell everybody to like chill the hell out on plastic bottles and bottle caps and stuff. Oh, Alchemist, I agree with you. However, that kind of stuff, unfortunately, if I talk about that stuff, it changes the level and tone of the stream to the point where I need to start, when I upload stuff to YouTube, I need to start adding in political commentary to it. There will be a point where I will speak openly about that. However, for biter battles, I have to steer myself away from those kind of comments and conversations so that I don't get demonetized on YouTube and therefore get a flag on my account. It's all about getting flagged, basically. 3 flags and they delete everything. But I do agree. I have read so far what has been released. and it seems incredible. And I hope that whatever comes of it, people get justice. And I think that is me playing it relatively safe in terms of commenting on it, but also this is an ongoing thing, so I don't want to kind of start saying things that might get me in trouble down the line. I just hope that transparency reigns true, and that if there are any victims involved in this, and it seems like there are a lot of victims, many of which were very, very young, that there is 100% accountability, and that there is a long, lengthy jail sentence for anybody involved, regardless of wealth, status, or position in any government. You cannot be doing that. And that to me is, I think, the limit to which I can talk about that kind of stuff. But I have, I'll talk about the game instead. But yeah, you guys, I think you guys understand. Let's let it all come out, and then we'll see. However, we have again Bites Battles on our hands. 18 on North, 18 on South. If the video on YouTube is muted at that point, you'll know why. I won't have muted it, but it will be muted naturally off the basis of it being quite controversial. Let's check in on science real quick. We did notice that the South managed to gain a little bit of time back, and thanks Tufty for throwing us back into the game, because timings are coming in, and they're coming in very close to each other. So both North and South have made about the same amount of military science, the North reaching that peak first, with the South 6 minutes behind. So although they managed to tie in their blue science build pretty quickly, the military science was slightly slower to come in. And let's take a look at the build. Let's see how it's developed beyond this. Okay, blue is nice. They're really building into... Okay, so it seems to me like Carl has... Okay, we've got two... Sticklord is the LDS supplier. He's the LDS dealer. Oh my god, he is. I was wondering whether this would be like laser building. I mean, fair enough. You're going to need so much of this, right? You might as well start this off as soon as you physically can. I always wonder why we don't start off things like solar building early on. And here we go. Here's our yellow build, which means our purple must come... I mean, where can we stick purple? Kind of like here, I guess? But this is nice. This is really nice timing from the North, by the way. On really fast games, we can see purple appear around about the 45-minute mark. But that is for, like, the fastest of the fast games, right? There's been a little bit of a slowdown in terms of blue production and also getting blue onto the belts. The difference in builds, however, like, we have a red chip producer here and a secondary one here on the south, and the north, sorry, but to the south of this northernmost red chip builder. I wonder if this is it for them. I remember watching a game a couple weeks ago, and they had incredibly large amounts of red chip production off onto the side, so potentially this is what main base will make. And then somebody, for instance, like this base over here, will create the necessary missing red chips that you'll need for your blue chips and for your kind of later science and your modules. So yeah, this might be enough potentially. I watched Carl's breakdown, by the way. For any of you guys that have not seen this, sorry, I wanna just post this real quick because it didn't get a lot of love. If you guys want to watch somebody break a game down, Carl went through his own build. Here we go. If you ever get bored and you want to watch how these guys think, take a look at the way that Carl breaks down his game. He goes through everything that his team did for his win, and he also kind of looks at the opposition team and talks about, and again, this isn't a haha I won, I'm the best, look at this amazing build. It's about talking about what worked well, what would need improving, what builds need refining, what got fed what, and what needed help. Yeah, it was just a really interesting dive into the post-mortem of a game. And I think I've got an idea for the final, by the way. So what I'm going to do for the grand final is I'm going to save the game every 15 minutes. I don't know if that's long enough. Maybe I need to do every 10 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the map every let's say 15 minutes to begin with. And then once the game is over and one team has won, I want to do like a post-game analysis with the winning captain. So what I want to do is load into like save one, so the first 15 minutes of the game, and then look and talk to them about what they were doing, and then load into save 2, which is 15 minutes after that, and then just go through like a chronology of their game and also what they see from the opposition. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that, but I think that's quite a cool idea. I'd need time with them to do that. So, you know, if it's a long game, maybe we do it the day after. But I think saving the map into intervals of like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, depending on if there's lots of development, we might be able to do like a bit of a time lapse, basically, of like what we see, what changed, and what they did in order to kind of adapt. So, yeah, I'm going to put that forward as an idea. And then basically interview the winning captain and maybe like a couple of people from the winning team as well. So let's say, for instance, the North win this game. I'm not saying they will, but let's say they do, and this is the grand final. We interview Joshua, but we get Carl on the call, and we get Califer on the call, and we get like Enkling on the call, and Blitzy, and you know, we get like 4 or 5 people, and we just go, hey guys, congrats, you won. Talk to me about what happened. You know, how did you make this happen? Obviously you won, but what was the plan? What were the problems you came into? How did you solve them? And really dig into it, because I've cast, I want to say like 6 tournaments now, maybe 7 tournaments, and I always do like a post-game interview, but they're a bit, how'd you feel? How did it go? You know, it can be a bit dry, and I'm maybe not the best interviewer. I don't know if I do it badly, but I feel like I can do better. So maybe in future games, Califer Bop. Is somebody spamming? Hang on a second. Ban this noob robbing lab side to send. Oh, okay, it's a joke. Okay, I was going to say, we can't be having that in a semi-final, Jesus. Yeah, maybe a bit of a post-mortem is the way to go. An autopsy, a winning autopsy. Now, I'm going to ask if I can interview the losing captain. However, some people don't take losing in the moment that well. And I can imagine if I go through an entire tournament, I get to a grand final, I play that grand final, I then don't win, I might not be the most receptive to somebody saying, hey man, jump on a Discord call and tell me what went wrong. You know, we're only human. You know, we're only human. I can imagine emotions running relatively high at that point. So I can, and also maybe people just don't want to talk. You know, they just want to kind of just, oh damn, that is death number 2. Hector goes down. Damn. Tell me how you feel. Oh, you loved the green ocean of chips is flooding it. I love that. Cognitive, great spot, by the way. I did notice that he was doing something was happening out here. I'm really glad that, yeah, the flow of green chips has begun. And there's just something so cerebral about watching lines and lines and lines of chips just flood in. Yeah, can you imagine that, Disp? Tell me how you felt both as a human, but also mostly as a Factorio professional. You know, you're good enough to get to a grand final, but you're not good enough to win. Tell me how terrible you are. Oh my god. So yeah, I think we need to package it in such a way that whoever makes it to a final, winning and losing captain, the idea of interviewing you, if you win or you lose, isn't to put the knife in if you lose or to celebrate because you win. It's about understanding what it takes to get to a final and the read that you have. And I think this is the best way I can sell this. The read that you have on a game is the highest level. So imagine like the World Cup final, right? Oh, I just love that little dancing mushroom. Welcome, thank you for the follow. Sorry, I got that slightly delayed there. I was like, where's that music coming from? Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Thank you for the follow, mate. I appreciate you. Cohen Zero. Welcome, mate. Welcome in. Can you imagine? I hope you're having a good day, mate. I hope you're having a good weekend. This is a tournament game. I will change the music soon as well, by the way, guys. I know we've been listening to the same thing for an hour now. What is it about your opponent that makes him better than you? Can you imagine, mate? Can you imagine? Jump in Discord and tell us what went wrong. Blame people. I want you to point out names. Can you imagine? Tell me who betrayed you on your team. Oh, God. And do you know what, mate? Some people they'd just throw somebody under the bus. They'd be like, do you know what? It was his fault. Straightener got it wrong. It wasn't me. Yeah, I oh, that could be horrific. It'd be incredible for content, you know? Angry Factorio player flames entire server. Maybe. I think what I'm going to do is I'll allow... Buses are made. You guys are savage. Oh, that is absolutely savage. Buses are made for throwing people under. Oh my god, sorry, I'm actually crying. Oh, the salt mines. Oh my god. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll create a background of like a mine, and then we'll put them right in the middle of it and be like, okay, mate, this is your space to be as salty as you want. You're the salt mine troll, you know, the king of the saltiness. Oh my god, that's too funny. So yeah, the idea is that you're at the height of you're at the top of the tournament table. You've won all your games. Just because you didn't win the last one doesn't mean you're a bad player. So it would be good to understand. That is brutal. Did you even think you could win today? Like, did you wake up and think genuinely you could win? You realize you're up against, you know, insert winner here. Like, what was the point in that? The funny thing is that there's going to be... I understand that people do take inference from sometimes. So I'll say something on the stream, and I don't think people take things personally. That's like the one thing I really hope that people understand is that when I make so for instance, the blue build earlier on, right? It was making blue jugs, but the belt wasn't feeding onto. I'm not saying that you as a player are a bad player if that mistake is made, because whoever built this has like 1,000 other things they're thinking about, and they're also building. So like, that's not them being lazy. That's just a small slip up. You guys are brutal. Remind me to get you guys involved in the end game. I'll ask. Let's see if chat has any questions for the winning and losing captain. Dispamin writes in, was it your Carl? Sorry for losing the tournament. Okay, I can hear you crying quite viciously in the background after months and months and months of hard work and winning every game you've played. So if you can just dab those tears away to one side. Dispamin writes in, was it your poor choice of team? I couldn't keep a straight face. And we love Carl, by the way. He's an absolute legend. And for any of you that want to hear my Carl impression, I found the clip of me impersonating Carl. We do see some walls, Dr. Kong, and thank you for getting us back on track. We were tangentially going off the deep end there. Zero Sun goes down as well. That's the third death of the game. So they're going deep for the threat farming. You know, they're just making it to a territory where they're just getting slightly unstuck. But Kong, you're correct. They are making defenses at the 1 hour and 2 minute mark, which is perfect. You know, again, I don't like right angles for walls, but a wall is better than none. And starting one off at the 1 hour mark is much, much better than needing one at the end of a game where you're scrabbling around defending for your life. So the South, to me, looks as though they're foregoing that to begin with. I don't see an enormous push for walls. Although it's been enough time, let me take a counterclockwise look around the map, starting on the south, and we'll go through the developments on both sides. Quickly checking in my research real quick. The north are going for solar energy. The south have exclusively researched... Oh, damn. I like this. Do you think you could ever show your face again? Such a brutal failure. Failtorio. Brutality. So the South have gone laser research straight away. There is no messing around. The South have gone for up to damage 2 and shooting 3. Going up to, shooting and damage 4. Okay, interesting. They're going deep into the laser tech. So the South are assuming they're going to be defending first, I guess. So let's take a look around the map real quick. Just Bob is going for massive oil. You love to see it. And Processo is going for enormous power. Again, you love to see it. You're going to need it, so why not? Do you think red belting an ammo belt was a good idea? Honestly, guys, for the winning captain, let's see if we can come up with some good questions. For the losing captain, if they're in good faith and they're in good spirits, we'll throw a couple of these out at them. Who would you blame? Who let you down the most? Who hurt the team the most? Name names and shame. The South are creating a really large amount of blue chips now. As we can see, beforehand what was an anemic level of red chip production has had LDS and blue chips bolted onto the side. If you could pick one player to blame, if you could pick one person to be banned forever, who would you ban? So here we go, LDS blue chips. They're making their way downtown, walking fast, getting boxed up by a blue inserter. Science is coming in, up to blue signs in labs, and we are just flying by. I mean, this is a really nice adaptation. Rather than building vertically, they've just gone more laterally, and we have these smelting blocks here, as well as other patches being hooked in to these kind of compact mini smelters, creating and churning out blue chips as they go. Meanwhile, south of them, Hepta and Cogito with Marek and Darknade are threat farming for their life, managing to drive the south's number into the minus 35,000 bugs. It's not an interview, it's cyberbullying, damn. Yuwu Malfables are creating a lot of lasers. There's 250 here and another 20 here, so almost 300 lasers on south. At the 1 hour and 5 minute mark, that's kind of massive. Like, you can really start hammering out, although they don't have walls built, they can certainly start building out pods of lasers to keep them safe in the early game, so I love that. But the power they're going to need for it is enormous, so maybe, just maybe, we might see a side tech into our lovely spicy green rocks to build up that nuclear reactor. It's a bit early for that, but I can imagine that is a play that is made down the line. Just Bob, our 4th death, is very far from home, stitching up as much oil as possible into the main base. Damn, that is a horrible death, because you've now got to run all the way back, and it just sucks. So yeah, that is the south, effectively. A lot of power, lasers just to the right-hand side. Main base is building up nicely with the defensive base just south of that. And then we have people just moving out to the west, building up power and grabbing oil, and a couple of patches. Detroit over here is building up somewhat of a secondary base. We have a lot of bricks being smelted down. Yeah, free power, dude, and you're going to need it. You're going to need it. If you're going to build a ton of lasers and use a ton of lasers, you're going to need power. Now, this is this overcompensating for something? Is Enkling okay? Does he normally build power this big? You know, is this overcompensating for something? You could build this much power, but you can do it in like a block that looks like this. Is Enkling going for the power tower build? You know, is this the world's largest power build, most vertical power block? This is insane. I don't think I've seen anything this tall. Typically, what we try and do is build it laterally, because obviously this is very close to the bugs, and if they become aggressive enough to chomp down on you, that's size queen. Kind of right. I'd never allege that. Yeah, he's trying to bring the power to them. You know, he just doesn't like using power poles. So 1 and then the bugs. But that's incredible. Yeah, I'll ask him about it later. I'm sure he'll mention in the comments on YouTube about why he's built it so vertical. But again, there's enough coal here. There is enough coal to provide it, but surely you just break this in half. Yeah, it's not about size, exactly. I think there's some overcompensation happening there, but you know, that's just my opinion. Meanwhile, moving around the clock, we have more lasers being built. I don't think they're churning lasers out just yet, but it's ready to go, primed and ready to go. And moving into main base, we have, is yellow on? Yeah, yellow is on, and it is currently being thrown into a chest. Divisional labour helps North be faster. Jimmy 50 has built most of the products. Yeah. Dude, Jimmy's a nightmare person. Oh no, sorry, Jimmy's on south, isn't he? It's Carl on north, but I know what you mean. He's absolutely smashing it. And with the support of these chip productions, I like this play. This is how the game used to be. You'd send somebody off to make the most out of a mixed patch with a couple of pure patches, and they would feed your base red and green chips. So what we're missing from here, and it's not missing as in it's a bad thing or a negative thing, but what we're missing from here is that adaptation where we take some of our green and turn them into red. Going beyond that and turning them into blue is a little bit too much, but you know, a lot of green and some red really help out any main base. You'll eventually run out of a buffer, you'll run out of enough red, and so it's nice to just have a couple at hand when you do need them. So, and we can also see here now in main base, yeah, lasers are flavor of the month on both teams. And how many have we made? Show more. We have produced So at the 1 hour mark, the North built their first laser. At the 50-minute mark, the South built theirs. The South are ahead in production on 356. Meanwhile, the North at 139. It's nothing to scoff at, really, but they're going to need a lot more than that. The North have built twice as many walls as well. That's interesting. I mean, many of them are obviously for science, but still, like, you know, if you've got 1,300 walls to place, that's nice to know compared to the 200 odd for the South. So, yeah, the North look like they're ready to go and primed to defend. Now, do I like as many elbows and 90-degree build? No, I don't. I really don't like this, but you have a wall, it's something, so why not just carry on, you know? You've started it, there's no point in stopping now. So, North, some players had outposts for subtask. Yellow, LDS, Sick Lord, Green Chips, Colourful Bob, Carl. Yeah, no, I agree. My question is, transitioning to purple-yellow is big. It's also very, very expensive. So what I'd like to see, hopefully, on both sides, is that when that transition eventually happens, and I believe this is the first purple jug, right? This is the first create on both sides. So the North hit yellow first, and they've made a ton of it. However, the South have hit purple first, and obviously will crank out enough of it. However, they're not chesting that purple, so they are really throwing down on their laser upgrades. I wonder why that is, though, because what effectively we're seeing here from the South is that they're seeing them conceding to be pushed up to 100% or 90% early. Effectively, what they're saying is like, look, we're going for defensive tech because our base will be under threat. And because of that, we're going to be under threat. We're going to build up our lasers, like here we have Marich, for instance. We have a lot of threat farmers down here, and we have people actively threat farming. And I think beyond that, they're just willing to absorb that initial push, going into purple-yellow and using it to research rather than to throw. And I don't hate it, you know. Effectively, they're kind of willing to weather the storm. They're willing to kind of say, yeah, you can throw as much as yellow at us as you want. We're just going to wear that and carry on our plans and carry on to rockets. Which, again, may win them the game. It might also lose them the game. It's a tightrope. You know, you are literally walking on a tightrope here. You're effectively saying my players are good enough, and we as a team are coordinated enough to kind of weather a couple of thousand. And thing is, on POC, right? Let me just get my calculator out real quick. Let's type in how many jugs. So let's go 500 yellow jugs go over. So 500 is not enough. Let's slowly increase that incrementally. 700 is not enough, so we need about 1,000, right? Maybe 1,200. No, even more than 1,000. What? Let's go 1,500. That surely is overkill. 1,500 for Behemoth. Wow. Okay, we need a lot. Well, it's POC actually. Sorry, I'm 2,000 yellow jugs. Damn. The North need to make 2k yellow. And again, that 2k, it will put them into Behemoth territory for sure for the South. But that's yellow that you're not researching with. That's yellow that you're not, you know, optimizing your build on and you know, diving deeper into Tetri on. My UPS is tanking, holy shit. I know why that is though. I can get rid of like Discord and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and are we close? We're closing into the first K. We're like a couple of hundred away from being halfway there to getting the South to Behemoths. So, you know, in terms of the South, they don't have a lot of time now. They're on the clock a lot. Like, they have to get this laser wall down first. I'd love to see a wall of some description going down ahead of this. Otherwise, these Behemoths are going to slam into this. But bearing all of that in mind, guys, it's time to change out the music. What do we feel like listening to right now? What do you guys want to hear? We're gonna see an increase in threat. So I feel like we need to kind of throw the tempo up a little bit in terms of music. So what do we fancy listening to? What sounds good to you? If not, I'll just put a random playlist on for now, and then we'll figure that out as we go. Let's go here. Vaporwave. Yeah. 80s. Okay. Let me take a look at my list. Lasers are worth it but expensive. If they die, it's a very, very costly building to lose. And the fifth death. Oh damn, and a pancake car. That was my fiance's car yesterday, by the way. That's basically what it looked like. Just wheels falling off. Yeah, so flamers for me, the way that we used to defend, and let me just briefly grab a piece of this here now. I'll do a little bit of drawing whilst we have a little bit of a lull in proceedings. The way that we used to defend is pretty easy, pretty simply explained. So the bugs will come to the wall, you know, they will eventually aggress onto the wall, and in doing so they will begin to fight the wall and chew the wall up, right? So let's just take this segment of the wall and just expand it across our entire base. We're looking at this as an isolated incident, but this could happen all the way across, you know, the wall itself. What we typically would have, and I'm going to use red for flame towers, is we would recess our flame towers slightly behind the wall. The reason for this, and again, sorry for that, it's a little janky, but bear with. The reason for this is very simple. The way that flame towers work is they have a cone that they shoot their fire out of. So by putting them behind the wall, they cannot be attacked. And by putting them next to each other, their flame overlaps, and then you get kind of like twice the hit. So obviously if we have this happening all the way, so let's say there's another flame tower here, it flames here for instance, and all of this area just gets covered in fire whilst the bugs chew on the wall, and they cannot attack our flame towers. That's one way of defending. What we do in front of those flame towers, and I'll use yellow as an example here, is we put really large rows of laser towers that can slightly be attacked by the bugs, but you hope, oh damn. Okay, there's the 2K sign send, and we'll take a look at how that changes the picture, because it absolutely does. But just to kind of finish off my thought here on defenses, you'd have flamers behind these lasers. So let's just say in this red box are flamers, in the yellow boxes are lasers, and our wall is thick like this. What people used to do, and what I loved that we used to do, is people used to make patterns on the wall, and what that would do is that would funnel the bugs down. Now you need bots for this, and apologies for my very wonky, oh damn, let's just undo that last bit. Okay, right, fuck this, I'm not doing that. What this does is, it would take the bugs, a wave of bugs would hit this top end, they would then crash into these little valleys and spread out. And what that means is the damage that your towers are outputting spreads out evenly across the bugs that hit your walls, rather than one penetrating attack. They're spreading them, the waves are basically splitting off and spreading out. I've got a better example I can show of that later, but right now, a big send happened, and I don't want to miss explaining the state of the game now that big send has happened. So Carl, from the north, sent to the south. The bugs have evolved now, like we talked about this earlier on. They go from being small to medium being these pink-shelled guys, big being these blue-shelled guys, and their final evolution is at 90%, these massive behemoth bugs. Yeah, and that's the thing to remember as well, the flamers, you can upgrade their damage, and once you have oil, it's kind of like a never-ending resource, as long as you can keep oil flowing in. So what I love about flamers is you can set them down and forget them. Another pancake car goes down. The bugs unfortunately are reaching some of the laser towers. However, they do have their technology relatively well researched. So a wall is needed, and a wall this thick will keep bugs fighting and biting a very cheap, inexpensive wall, whilst your lasers rain down pain on them. And again, the reason why we put them into rows like this, and again, just because a send happened, I can kind of explain this to you now. Each laser tower has like a radius that it operates within. So let's take a central point like this. So by layering the laser towers on top of each other, they have these Venn diagram like laser kill zones effectively, where if a bug happens to be anywhere within here, anywhere between 10 and 20 lasers will fire onto them. And if you have that consistently across the board, and again, if you had flame towers behind that, you'd have even more damage coming in. Then yeah, you're defending well. At this point in the game though, it's very early on to get that level of send. So behemoths at the 1 hour and 15 mark, 1 hour and 18 mark, you know, they're going to struggle. You know, the South are going to struggle. The wall doesn't exist all the way through. And again, they have slowdown capsules, and once behemoths get, you know, up to this stage, they're fast enough to chase you down. Yeah, the South have their work cut out for them. What I'm worried about now, and again, this threat is still negative, but they'll be killing bugs off slower, so they won't be able to drive their threat down into, you know, the minus 20,000, 30,000. is these edges, these peripheral edges that are not defended. And this was my main concern for the north, is that their base is very spread out, but they seem to be doing a really good job of just putting a wall down, just a physical barrier. You know, even if a bug that was small was to aggress onto their base, it would hit a wall before it hits anything important. And this I like. This is something that, again, blowing up rocks, cracking rocks is very important. The thing that will get you killed now is a misinput on your vehicle. The car is a very strong vehicle to have, but you need to make sure that you clear the way. And so Hept is doing a really good job here of identifying future targets that the car might bump into. And yeah, just clearing the path, clearing the way. South is hitting a power limit. Let's take a look. What we'll do is, let's see a wave crash in, and here we go. So power is green. Let me turn chat off for now. Sorry guys, I'll turn chat back on in a second, but as we can see, power on the right hand side of the screen is staying green for now, but big waves like this will really test out power. So we keep on green for now, but as more and more lasers start interacting with the bugs, we should see maybe a bouncing of power. Now this is just one wave. If there were 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, more of this infrastructure will be tested. But I think I can confidently say for now, with small waves hitting this wall briefly, we're okay. But we're not super confident. You know, we're not super comfortable. Meanwhile, in labs, everything up to Purple Science is being slapped down. We're moving towards yellow as well. I think that their research is probably going to be laser-based, right? Laser-based research. No, they're moving towards a rocket. Interesting. Meanwhile, the North are looking at nuke once they get their laser upgrades in, and they have already got Kovacs. What? Why? Okay. So the South look like they're ready to go for a rocket faster than the North, and that's after going for their laser upgrades too. So yeah, we're walking a fine line here, a very fine line. The bugs can come around the edges of the map, and from there, there could be some issues. I'm going to ask this question now, guys. Do you mind if chat is on screen or not? I had a couple of YouTube comments that asked me if I could move it. Now, I'm not going to do everything that I'm asked of in YouTube, but I'm willing to take feedback. But do you mind it being on or off? Because I know it's nice to have messages appear on screen, but I think maybe for the final game, or for the semi-finals and the finals, Khajiit goes down, I might turn chat on. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be reading chat and talking to chat, but I think it would benefit the YouTube people if they have more of a screen to see, if that makes sense. And again, for the final, I'm more than happy to turn myself off too. Mirror the chat. Yeah, exactly. They won't see the super witty chat. What I'll do for now is, the game isn't really in a state where we're in jeopardy, but when it comes to the end of the game, when there's lots of stuff to see, what I'll probably do is I'll turn myself off, I'll turn chat off, and then we just have one big window where we can see everything. I think that's a good compromise. So whilst we're in the kind of the social phase of the game, where we're talking and chatting about builds and, you know, we're just seeing the game develop, I think this is fine. And then, yeah, and what I'll do is I'll make chat a bit smaller so that we see, not see less of it. It's not, I don't want to see less of you guys talking, but there's just like 1 or 2 messages rather than like the full rundown. Yeah, and that's an improvement I can make. Make the avatar larger and right in the middle. So this. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, this is what people tune in for, guys. This is high level. By the way, just questions, guys. I made this. What do we think? I am not an artist, by the way. So, like the face tracking and the eyeballs and the eyebrows and stuff, even larger. Damn. What about like a floating head? How terrifying. Behemoth bugs arise. How terrifying is this? Can you imagine if it was just? Can you imagine if it was just like? Hang on, wait. Let's see if I can do this without breaking my OBS. Where's my capture? Just like a pair of eyeballs. Just like, what's going on over here? Oh, that's terrifying. Okay, wait. No. Okay. We're being silly. I may try that out at one point, but yeah, for a model though, guys. Like, I had to model my I had to do, so these tattoos are mine. I actually have these tattoos. I had to, like, scan them in and stuff, and I think that they've come out really nicely. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not an artist. I don't know much about 3D modeling. I think I did a good job. I had a little bit of help from a friend of mine with shading, so like, you know, doing shading on the t-shirt and stuff, but I got really bored and I was quite ill a while ago, and I thought, why not learn a skill? So I learned how to make a model, and then a friend of mine helped me do all the tracking and stuff. It's not perfect, and it does go out of synchronization every now and again, so that's something I'm working on, but but yeah. I think, do you know what I should do? When the stream starts, I should just have like the eyeballs. You know when we have like Spectator Island, like this? What I should do is just have like, zoom all the way in and just have like a pair of eyeballs just down here and make them huge. I'm watching you, obey. Oh god. Yeah, go on, why not? Why not? You know, I'm here for the fun of it all, guys. Like, we take ourselves seriously, but we also like to have a bit of fun too, so yeah. When things get really busy and the game gets really exciting, I'll turn myself off, I'll turn chat off, and we'll watch the game unfold. For now, though, I think this is a compromise that I'm happy to commit to. A little bit of the right-hand side of the screen is kind of busy, but it's not too bad. Enkling doubling down. You know what? I'm going to make abominations. Enkling woke up today and chose violence. And they're just docking. We're docking steam engines now for no good reason other than the fact that we can. Can you imagine? A tiny, tiny screen for the game itself, and then tip to tip. I know, it's not the most efficient build, because where will the steam go? So yeah, Enkling's going for world's tallest power build, and now world's back-to-back. We'll stay with Enkling. We'll keep tabs on him to see what else he ends up doing. But I mean, it's working for his team. It is working for its team. I've also spotted something that I didn't mention earlier on that might be a massive weakness for either side, and that's this part of the map. Now, this little gap here is actually very important, and if a team loses and they've walled this area up, it'll be because, and that's death number 6, I believe, from keeping count. Might be a bit more. Yeah, steam abominations. Yeah. Terrible. And these little gaps here are frightening. Oh yeah, and remember to press F to pay respects, guys. Firstly, to the abominations that are the Frankenstein power that's being built up here, but also to the good players we're losing, to the biters, to the behemoths. So yeah, a wall is going down. Bugs are getting killed off. I don't hate it. Let's double check in. The most important part of the game now is here. A beacon yellow. Okay, let's go. We rarely see beacons. In terms of the main base at the beginning of the game, we rarely see this. Later, we'll see beacons obviously for the silo. That means then that we'll be prepping this down the line for a beaconed rocket silo, I think. Menander, can you do a straight wall? We all hate your curvy wall. What? Wiggly walls? We like wiggly walls, don't we? W in chat for wiggly walls, guys, if you like it. If you like your walls wiggly, let's have a W in chat. But no, this genuinely is a safety concern. You know, this is, yeah, all of this is a hazard waiting to happen. As Hector goes down to Behemoths, another death on the south. They are losing people now at a rate, like you can count a death every 60 seconds, 80 seconds. Full adrenaline, win or lose. I'm with you on that front, mate. But the lasers doing their job, power is, it's holding, you know, they're not using all their lasers. And they're managing to threat down, I mean, that's a comfortable number to threat farm into, minus 20k. Could be worse, could be much, much worse. So again, the North are, in terms of research, the win condition for the South is rocket, I think. They don't have any ambition at the moment, it looks like, to push the North at all. Like they're not bothering with it. They're just going, do you know what, guys? What wins games are rockets, and you can get us to 100%. You know, we have the players and the skill to deal with that 100% threat. What you won't be able to deal with on the North is like a 300 and 500% bug. So we've beaten you to the rockets. I think the only thing that will slip the South up, by the way, and they won't happen, but the thing that will slip them up is if they start running out of items to produce rockets at a good speed. So effectively, this rocket silo will start to crank out rockets in the not too distant future. If they're slow, and they can only make one rocket every 5 minutes rather than a rocket every minute, the North will catch up. So again, their threat farmers. All right, so there's two key components here to a south wind. Their threat farmers need to be absolutely on the money. If you start losing, so losing one threat farmer every 5 minutes is fine, but if you start losing 2, 3, or 4 threat farmers in a short space of time, you're stopping the grinding of the bugs down. Eventually they'll hit your walls, and a wave like this will tear through a brick wall. You know, no questions asked, they will rinse this wall. Power is not bouncing, which is good. And oh god, no. Why are we prioritizing a stone build? Oh, it's building walls, okay. So the gap in the wall is because we're making walls. That's terrifying. So there's a famous franchise of films called Star Wars. And the evil faction in Star Wars, the Empire, they build these massive, big balls of death called Death Stars. And some random pilot from Tatooine called Luke Skywalker, I believe was his name, somehow manages to fly into this indestructible, massive fortress of a planet destroyer and finds a tiny hole he can fire a missile into to then kill off the Death Star. And it's the only architectural flaw in the entire massive weapon of mass destruction. And you think, as a critic of a film, the only hole in the plot is the hole that we see in the Death Star. And yet here on the South, amongst their massive killing machine of lasers, their own Death Star, if you will, there is... Who's big eye? Boys, come on. What are we doing? Are we sure there's not another stone patch somewhere else? Can you not do that here? Like, are we seriously leaving a gap? Guys, there's behemoths on the pitch, right? Now, if they even so much as sniff this and start attacking it, they'll just go straight through. The wall at least provides some resistance. This will provide no resistance whatsoever. I haven't seen Rogue One. I haven't seen it yet. Do they try and explain away the exhaust gap? What is it? What's it called? The gap that he shoots the missile into. It's a mine, and again, by the way, guys, he has to use the Force. You can't just fire a missile in the exhaust port. Got you. Yeah. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Star Wars. For me personally, the original films absolutely smashed it. I didn't need Jar Jar Binks in my life, and neither did anybody really. Like, for anybody that thinks Jar Jar canonically deserves to be in Star Wars, unless he is a Sith Lord, and I've had friends of mine who've read all the books and, you know, they've done their research on Star Wars, they know things. Oh boy, do I love a poorly shielded source port, yep. It stands to reason that Jar Jar may be a Sith Lord. You know, I had a friend of mine who I used to sit and drink with in London, who is also a chef, and we spoke at length. Well, I say we spoke. He talked to me about the wider Star Wars universe, and so why didn't they make? There is a race of people in the Star Wars universe. Tangent here, guys. Sorry, there is stuff happening on the map. I'll talk about the game, but we do this every now and again. Am I right in thinking? And I didn't just make this. We were quite drunk when we were talking about this. Again, drink responsibly, guys. There is a race of people in Star Wars that hunt Jedi, like that have like anti-force powers that can basically render Jedi and Sith Lords as well, like basically completely useless, and that can fight them and kill and that hunt them. Like, why have we not seen these people in films? I would easily watch a film about that. A race of anti-Jedi, anti-force people in the why the fuck do we have somebody YOLOing a starship into another starship? It doesn't make any sense. The world is deep and rich enough as it is. You don't need to come up with new elaborate plans. It's good enough. There are books there. Read them. Oh, they have armor that's laser sword resistance. Got you. Yeah, there are some really deep and interesting elements to the lore that I'd love to explore. I'd love to see them explore it with film. It's almost like, again, we're talking about an industry that is like riddled with poor decision making, and people that are, I mean, you can, in a creative environment, using data to drive you is not going to work. Like, there always needs to be a certain level of creative passion that goes into a project. And for me personally, the films I've watched the more recent films, I'm not hating on the actors. You get given the role to play, and anybody that gets given a role to play in a Star Wars film, just like the James Bond franchise, just like Lord of the Rings, I'd bite their hand off as an actor to be involved. But Jesus Christ, did they drop the fucking ball on a lot of those films? Like, I don't get it. Like, surely there is a director out there who is, Henry Cavill is a Warhammer nerd. I myself also, by the way, guys, am a Warhammer nerd. Haven't seen Andor yet, by the way, Dave. Do you know what? I haven't seen any of the newer stuff. I'm worried I know some of it's good, and I'm certainly not saying that all Star Wars stuff is bad. I'm sure that there are people smashing it. I just took a break from engaging it. Also, one of the Mandalorian's anti-Jedi weapons is a gun. Okay. So they're slightly leaning into that then. Because it seemed like an absolute miss. It's good TV. All right, okay, noted. I think the thing that I was disappointed most about was there were things that must watch. Best sci-fi watched in years. Interesting. Because a friend of mine's trying to get me into The Expanse. And I watched season 1 of it and I was impressed, I'm not going to lie. Anything space-based, I'm a fan of. So my 3 games, space, base building, and zombie games, that's me in a nutshell. So yeah, I've heard The Expanse goes into some really, really cool territory. My barber is a huge, huge Expanse fan. Andor has no Jedi, no Sith, just the banality of, what a great word, banality, of bureaucratic evil. Yeah, you're right, Kong. Sorry, getting back on track, both teams are looking to prep a silo ready for rockets. How close each team are really is dependent on research, and I believe the South are closing in. But I will take your recommendations, guys. I will have a look at some of the newer Star Wars based shows. I worried that I would ruin it for myself. And as I say that, at 98% complete for the South, the rocket silo is tantalizingly close to being finished. Meanwhile, on the North, we have yet to see the rocket silo begin to be researched. Babylon 5. My fiance is Rogue One's good. Solo less so. Alright, okay. My fiance is really, really big into Battlestar Galactica. If I can say that correctly. Battlestar Galactica. I've seen a couple episodes. I'm slightly confused about what's going on, but I do like the plot of the thing. Like they're basically escaping the Cylons and they have to jump every 30 minutes and she swears by it. And she has good taste in sci-fi stuff. Good for 2.5. Okay, right. So it ran out of steam near the end. Interesting. Guys, I honestly, like anything space opera-esque, I'm in. So yeah, my 3 genres of like S-tier games. Obviously Factorio type games, automation games. Anything in space, genuinely mining stuff in space, fighting in space. Like, I'm a Star Citizen fan, even though it's not finished yet. I love Star Citizen. And zombie games. If you can find a mix of all 3 of those, I will not stop playing that game. Yeah, so South have hit purple super soon. They also haven't sent yet as well, as you can see. So all of their research has purely been about just getting themselves to rocket quick. Meanwhile, on the North, we have, they are, this is interesting. So only half of their labs really are researching. Beyond that too, their research is behind. So they managed to push the South to 94%, however, or 95% now. However, I believe that these guys on the South are positioned, if they pull this off correctly, and again, they need the right relevant resources. They need enough of those resources, and they need to be able to churn those resources into their rocket to create rockets as well. The thing I'm not seeing at the moment is rocket fuel. Where are we producing rocket fuel? Here we go. Okay, perfect. Muesli Master, what a great name. Muesli Master has created some rocket fuel. We have a couple of thousand being tested at the moment, about 2,000 maybe, just a little bit shy over 2,000, yep. So that will come to main. Blue chips and LDS are coming to main as well. We have our Prod 3s already, that's big. And we have the beginnings of our, oh damn dude, we're going to fully beacon this as well. We are going to fully beacon this rocket silo. Damn. So, the south wind condition is very simple. There is a number for the north that will make the north's lives and existence on the north unacceptable. They'll be crowbarred out of doing this, and the bugs will be so strong that they will crash into the north space, destroying it. That number to me, if I had to take a guess, somebody has run the numbers on this, somebody has done the maths, and I believe that we're looking at 15 plus rockets. In fact, I'm going to do the maths now, but I'm not going to do it for too much. So let's say we want to go over 300%. 300% is just not livable. So 15 doesn't get us there. Okay, right. So what are we looking at? 17? 17 rockets. It gets us there. All right, but just for the sake of brevity, let's say we go for 20 rockets. Is this a 20 rocket game? I guess we'll find out. 20,000. Oh, that's what am I doing? Take a zero off. Start again. 20,000. Yeah, 350%. This is a number that the North will not be able to live with, and it's around about the 20 rocket mark. Now, we're quite far away from 20 rockets. However, we have already begun building our first one, with the need of rocket fuel to come in as well. So, yeah, and I can see, oh, chat's flying. Sorry, guys, I'm slightly locked into the game here. So, I like seeing a new JMS space opera. Do you know what I'd love to see a reboot of, guys? I don't know if I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, so I can't comment on it. My friend showed me Firefly. I don't know if it's a bit niche. Some of you guys might not. In fact, do not know. You guys, out of anybody I talk to, maybe Firefly is something you guys know about. But I watched the first iteration of Firefly. Oh, so good, so good, an absolute gem. And I think it just goes to show that you don't need. No, I think they got it. So I haven't seen all of it, by the way. So please don't lambast me if I'm speaking out of turn. But the parts that I saw was incredible, and it doesn't. You questioned the words of the mighty Jimmy. Did they cancel it? I don't know how it ends. So I only saw the first couple of episodes of season 1, but I was massively impressed. And it's one of those ones where the cast was just so good. I see. Oh, okay, so it's Whedon's. Whedon's got some stuff going on. Got you. Yeah. I think I saw about 3. I think I saw about 3-ish episodes. Damn, dude. It was one of those ones I was really impressed by watching it, and I was like, I wish there was more of this. Whedon's a scumbag. No. Are you telling me that somebody that works in and around the Hollywood environment, that creates shows, is a scum? No way. No, I'm obviously being sarcastic. It stands to reason that they're probably a bit of a bell end. You know, the ego involved. Like, so, do I want to go into this? How do I do this without outing my friend? Wait, let me try and be diplomatic about this. Actually, do you know what? We'll talk about Hollywood in a second. There's something much more Hollywood going on right now, as the very first rocket from the south, at the 1 hour and 45 minute mark with the satellite inside, flies up to the sky, up into space, over the base of the north, and that will return us back to the ground, 1,000 space signs. So a friend of mine, his uncle works in Hollywood. He was tasked in making music videos for bands in the mid-2000s. Bands like the Jonas Brothers, and there were a couple of like Disney type bands. And effectively my friend got a job in Hollywood as a bit of an understudy. He was 19, 20 at the time, so, you know, kind of just in the middle of university, and he would go over in the summer. And some of the stories I used to hear off of him are mental, mate. Hollywood is not a healthy place. What will they do it? Hopefully they don't. Does the North see the rocket flying over Turkey? I think they're going to go for. I would hazard a guess at around about 20 rockets. So I think we're going to see 19 more at least being built. But what they may do, what the South might do, is send enough to put the North to behemoths and then save. I'm not too sure whether the sending strategy is different nowadays. In the olden days, you used to get a team to behemoths and then you play. But, oh no. Oh, I hate stuff like that, mate. Because you're just abusing power. Yeah, nah, okay, yeah. Again, I don't know a huge amount about Joss Whedon, but if that's the case, then he can get fucked. Like, yeah. Luckily, one of my favourite people that works out there in the South Park creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, as far as I'm aware, aren't scumbags, and I love those guys. So South Park to me is still very much a case of, like, you can be in the industry and not be an arsehole. They might be weird, and I get that. They are a bit weird people, but as far as I'm aware, as far as no major controversial stories about them being absolute cunts, basically, has come out. The same as Seth MacFarlane, the Family Guy creator. He's created an incredibly, entertaining property, and you just don't hear anything about him. You can be famous without being an absolute dick. So, and it makes me wonder, like, if I was rich and famous, and I'm not, and I don't want to be, by the way, I think that with money comes a lot of problems. Again, coming back to what my friend was saying about Hollywood was, there was a lot of, like, weird behavior. Like, you've got to be a bit of an egomaniac. You've got to be a little bit narcissistic. Like, the world revolves around you until you meet somebody who the world revolves around even harder. And then you make your world revolve around their world so that you're part of their universe. It's weird, mate. It's honestly, it's a popularity contest. And just because you have a ton of money doesn't necessarily mean that you're the arbiter of all things good in the world. Like, if I had a ton of money, boys, honestly, it would be put into a charity. I'd just say, look, come to me with an idea. Come to me with a plan. If I have billions of dollars, let's say I've got literally billions, like, bring a plan to me. And if I think it can work, you're in charge of that plan, but I will give you the money for it. Go and help homeless people. Go and fucking set up after-school programs for sports for kids, right? And I'll give you the money you ask for, but I want to make sure that you spend the money in the right way. It's not obviously a scam, and that people get help from it. And if you need £1 million to do, yeah, 100%, I'll send that to you. I don't have £1 million. It doesn't, yeah, and that's a sad thing, really. But there are people out there doing some good in the world, and you hope that, for every rich arsehole that's abusing power, there's somebody out there that is going, all right, how can I make the world a little better? You hear about this people make it in the NFL, and then, like, they go back to where they came from, and they make sure that every single person has their rent paid. Like, you might not be able to solve the world's problems, but you might be able to solve the problems of the people that helped you get out of the environment that you were in, or that help you succeed. So, if I become a billionaire, or let's be honest, a trillionaire, you guys are all getting a little cut of that. Yeah, I know, right? Red belt. Disgusting, mate. Absolutely disgusting. So I would need to come back to Bite Battles and give Nuro a couple of million, just because he helped foster the genius that is. Okay, rocket number 3. That is a very good attitude to have as well, this. If I became rich, you wouldn't know about it. You certainly wouldn't see any indicators that I have that level of wealth. There'd be absolutely no need for anybody to know. The North, they've got enough stuff for rockets. Again, they haven't beaconed it yet, and they don't have their Prod 3, so I'm slightly worried now, because the South are, okay, blue chip dependent. And let's take a look at their blue chip production, because they hopefully have some ancillary buildings creating blue chips. Yes, but no. Okay, I guess they stay on that belt for now. So red chips are a bit of a backlog issue for us. With $1 trillion money, I'd make Factorio 3. Oh, mate, with $1 trillion money, I'm making Half-Life 3. I'm knocking on Gaben's door and I'm like, hey, mate, I know I have a small amount of your wealth, but, yeah, dude. The thing is, the North rushed to early science. So they rushed out a ton of research. I mean, they had like at one point 11 researches unique to them. They then spammed yellow, and now they're just playing catch up. Again, the South are losing people, and as we come to a crawling halt, we used to have in the olden days, I say olden days like I'm, people that can't connect, that continually reconnect, are slowing the server down. So basically, I'm sure that wants to play the game and wants to be in the game. Unfortunately, if you're from a part of the world where, the server kicks you out, the best place for him to be is to either jump on a stream like this, because again, your computer won't be taxed, it'll just be mine, so one PC will be bearing the brunt of the stress. But by loading up and being kicked and then reconnecting, all you're really doing is overloading a server already that we're struggling kind of. Like, we're not struggling right now, but in an hour's time or 2 hours time, like, look, he's going backwards already. So what I would do, if I was in Discord, is I'd at him and say, hey mate, you can't come in. If you keep attempting to connect, we're going to have to ban you, which is like a short-term ban, obviously. You're not banned from being a bad guy, but, this reconnecting is causing problems for people in the game. And from there, just go and watch a stream. And, if you're connecting from, like, Australia, the west coast of America, it stands to reason that eventually the server won't be able to handle your connection to us. And that is half the reason why, other than the fact that I get to talk about myself so often, that I host the game and I do the streaming, is that we have a player base in Korea and we have a player base in America that cannot make the timing, as well as like the Philippines and Southeast Asia, etc. So I'm not entirely sure. Welcome in, Scoffy. I'm not sure about the maths, but there was somebody that used to be part of our Discord that ran the numbers and said that if somebody connects like 3 or 4 times in a row, it oversends certain requests to the server. So yeah, in the past you could be banned just for a day or like a 5-hour ban whilst the game goes on, purely because of the fact that you're sending stuff to a server. It basically confuses the server. If 10 people do this, you could basically break the server down. Now, I know that we're on a better server than the one that we were on a couple of years ago. I think there's somebody that's sponsoring us to have like a better setup, but yeah, like it's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes. Now, that being said, it's 1 or 2 people. I don't want to spend all of my time talking about people that aren't in the game. Let's talk about the people that are, and the current state of the nation, because rocket number 4 on the south is beginning to emerge from the darkness. Arise. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm not much of an anime watcher, but I watch Solo Leveling. Am I wrong in thinking that's just really good? Now, I know it's not One Piece, or like Fullmetal Brother Alchemist, which I've also seen, by the way. Very good animes. I don't know what it is. I just really like the whole, like, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the whole aesthetic, yeah. If anybody has anime recommendations, I'll be more than happy to take them. I'm not a connoisseur. Like, I literally will just watch what's popular. So maybe I'm a little bit of a plastic anime fan. Like, I don't know the true best ones. But my friend mentioned to me, hang on, I've got it on my phone here. Sorry, he messaged me on WhatsApp a couple of days ago. There is an anime called, here it is, Jujutsu Kaisen. And yeah, Jujutsu. Oh, also, boys, Monster Hunter. No, Hunter x Hunter. Is that it? I tend to watch a lot of movies over shows. So I just got a subscription to Crunchyroll. I'm not sponsored by Crunchyroll, by the way. It would be cool, though. That would be kind of nice. But again, I don't think they sponsor streams, so that's probably never going to happen. Pot Noodle is probably closer to sponsorship than Crunchyroll. But I picked up a subscription to Crunchyroll, and I started just watching random shows. And Hunter x Hunter, I know you're not meant to say the X, but Hunter x Hunter, fucking hell, boys. Genuinely, have you seen that all the way through? Am I wrong in saying that by the end of that show, it got so fucking dark? At first, it's like some kid with a fishing rod, and he's from like the outer regions, so he's a bit of a wild guy. And there's some kid who's part of the assassin family, and I'm like, okay, I get this. I see where this is going. You know, they're going on a journey of discovery. It's like Pokemon, but without Pokemon. They are the Pokemon, and they'll level themselves up. And then, like near the end, he like rips his own arm off and is like beating this thing to death in the court. Oh, mate, it is grim. It goes from like light-hearted nature to like absolute gore, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Also, if I had a nuclear bomb in my chest, wouldn't I set off every metal detector I ever go through? I'm asking for a friend. Yeah, Hunter x Hunter is good. My friend says Jujutsu Kaisen is also a good watch. I'm catching up on One Piece. We get it free on the BBC, so I've just finished Wano. Or Wano, I guess. Wano or Wano. I'm enjoying it, man. I still don't know who or what the One Piece is, and I don't know where the hell they're going to find it. I'm going to be honest, the Whitebeard fight was peak as fuck. Like, Whitebeard is an absolute badass, and I know he was really ill, but that was so cool to watch. You don't see a lot of the major power bits in One Piece up until that point, and he just turns up and starts fucking everybody up. It's so cool. And obviously, just generally speaking, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is just, I just can't say anything negative about it. It's just perfect. It's so good. So good. You've watched 23 new films, so that's basically a film a day, mate. Holy crap. Got you. Solo leveling is peak. I just like it. So there's a bit, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a bit where he goes into like the ice elf territory, and like the ice elf like lord or god or whatever is like, my friend thinks you're strong, he wants to fight you, and then instantly he just gets his like, you know, shadow blade or whatever it is out and just instantly destroys him, and you're like, yep, this is cool. But I guess it's for a very, you know, it's for a certain kind of viewer. And, you know, I think ever since from watching like Gladiator as a kid and like Lord of the Rings and stuff, just like big battles and fighting and combat, it just hits different, you know. It's just what I love to watch and what I love to see. Okay, right, okay. We've meandered enough. Let's now go around the block again. Classic Jimmy Greed, 13 of 100. The North's laser towers are well upgraded compared to their South's counterparts. The South are behind in laser damage? That can't be right. They're getting the 5th upgrade now. Because they went, because they went for the silo early, and obviously they went for a lot of this stuff early, they're just one tech behind in terms of the energy weapon damage. That's not to say that these weapons aren't doing good damage, they are. And the wall is starting to really flesh itself out, but this is one hell of a defensive wall. That is way too big, holy crap. Did somebody ask Enkling to build the wall as well? That is huge. It is. It's, again, back to the meta of cars. And people have argued in the YouTube comments that vehicles, or vehicles if you're from England, oh damn, okay, that's interesting. Jimmy doesn't wait for the massive send, he just sends 6k. Okay, right. I thought we'd be waiting a little bit longer. Okay, this is very good. I like what I'm seeing from Jimmy. Carl throws down a rude. Just rude. Perfect timing. Okay, right. The North are dealing with behemoths, and a positive number of behemoths, almost 250,000. Their wall is not finished, and their laser build is not that deep. I think Jimmy's done it right. I think Jimmy might have caught them off guard here. Okay, meme coming. So what is going to happen now on the North is the weaker bugs will die out, and larger behemoth bugs at 159.9% strength will appear on the map. Also, because we've had a massive jump in evolution, bosses are appearing too. Bugs will absolutely slam into this stuff. There's no avoiding it. And beyond that as well, like the wall is not all encompassing. So I think that the south have managed to catch the north out a little bit here. You know, like let me just draw this out real quick. I know that we need to wait a second for the bugs to spawn in. So here we have a couple of issues, and I'm just going to kind of draw them out real quick. We have... Where are my drawing tools? Oh yeah, sorry, it's because it's off here. So we have a couple of elbows that I'm not happy about. So the bugs will attack down the map, right? And again, there are these areas on the side of the map which they can absolutely flood through, and they will. They absolutely will. Like bugs, we've seen them do like lateral attacks called side swipes, and they happen every game. What I'm worried about are these elbows. We saw this in a game a while ago. 90-degree bends on a base are really detrimental to the strength of the base. And as we can see here now, I'm just going to take my drawing tools off because we have a breach already. 150, I did not see this coming from Jimmy. And do you know what, guys, just for now, and yeah, mate, no nuclear. You're right, no nuclear. So the moment they lose, like, let's take a look at power real quick. It's not bouncing yet, but look at all of this damage. All of these lasers now just completely folded up. Back to the earth. They're being recommitted back to the earth. And capsules will deal with these for sure. Like 106%, it's manageable. But like, what is the loss here? And again, if the bugs meander even to the right, just a tiny amount, this power block here, I mean, other than like maybe, oh, damn, that's perfect timing, isn't it? Oh no, it's happening, guys. It's happening. So I thought that power block over to the right was in was in trouble. This is absolutely a problem. Not only will this potentially disconnect outposts, but there's so much out here that's vulnerable and there's nobody here to defend it. I think that the South have pulled an absolute blinder here. They got pushed to 95% first and they just soldiered on, threat farmed for their life effectively. And remember guys, this is it. If you lose a game at this point in the tournament, you're out of the tournament as a captain. That's it. You know, it carries on. You know, whoever makes it through goes to the lower bracket final. And at the end of this, guys, what I will do is I'll pull up the table so we can show off the draw. I believe Carl may be doing a draw as well, so we'll see what the matchups are. So we'll tune in to Carl for that. But yeah, this is frightening, mate. That's a lot of power to lose in a short space of time. And as we take a look at the front line here, power is bouncing already. Oh god. Damn. And another 1,000 just goes over to the north. 1,000 white signs again. 173% at 285,000 threat. Yellow power and bouncing. The behemoths have made it through the opening wall. There are more waves coming in behind them with bosses as well. No player is safe now from the threat that's coming into the map. And as I speak, these corner walls, these elbow walls, these 90-degree walls are just decimated by the bugs. No space is sacred. They're just flooding in. And again, yeah, the wave that just decimated power. I didn't even bother with the coal production. It's on to the next thing. We spoke about it earlier on, guys. Side swipes, these lateral swipes. That wave of bugs is frightening to deal with. And I just want to quickly pull this up because this is relevant to what I was talking about just now, 2 seconds ago. That wave of bugs, its pathing went like this. Yeah, so you cannot just build a wall that deals with this. You need to deal with the edges of your base. And again, it's no slight or shade on the opposite team. Like, you've got to factor this stuff in. And unfortunately, somewhere meandering near their rocket fuel production is a behemoth wave that... I mean, is this it? Is this the wave to do it? A side swiping... Oh, damn, wait, whoa, okay, I want... apologies, anybody that's getting an advert right now. I think I clicked dismiss. I think I hit dismiss just before you got an advert. So I don't want anyone to miss anything here. The bugs are very much capable and able to make it all the way to the silo. Again, if it's not this wave, there'll be another one sneaking off in the distance, right? They don't work in isolation. On the front line, yeah, decimation. Edges of the map, complete decimation. I'll take a look at production stats real quick. But this wave of bugs here, oh my god, they're just fighting their way through. They've lost on the north almost 700 lasers. 700, that's such an expensive loss. Now, it will happen. Naturally, it will happen, right? They will become so big and so aggressive. But look at the state of this. There's no coming back. There's the south just timing attacked. Absolutely perfectly timing attacked. I'm going to stick myself back on real quick. This is fine. Everything's fine. There's nothing to see here. I didn't even like that part of the base. They're doing my job for me. I had to pull that wall up, so naturally I just thought, why not? Just let them have it. I'll come back here in 5 minutes when the problem's gone and I'll solve this. Oh no, frightening stuff. And Caliphate, try as they might, and is doing a very good job here catching these waves coming in. My worry is the stuff that's already here. And again, this wave down here that slowly but surely made its way across the edge of the map. Yeah, the south are going in for the kill. They've just swept all of the science off of their belts. Here we go, nothing for the labs. They're just sending it in. Yeah, dude. Nini, we are right now, the north are being torn to pieces. And not just in one area. They have waves and waves and waves. In fact, over 200,000 behemoth bugs, the strongest bugs, including bosses which have health bars like something out of Dark Souls, are descending and tearing into the north space, shredding any level of defense, as well as flattening out power blocks. In fact, where was that power block they flattened out? It was over here actually, or they rebuilt it. That's quite nice to see. And they're making it so deep into the base that as the main base players are dealing with one wave, another creeps in. And this is what we call the end state, the end of the game for biter battles. Now, the bugs can be dealt with at this stage of the game, at this strength. 173 is not GG's all the time, but if they can get this close, and the rocket silo, which is the element that we must defend, otherwise we've lost the game. Yeah, they're closing in. The net is tightening. And again, proliferation is happening all over the place. The players on the north will not give up. They're not just going to concede, but it's looking to me like the south have managed to hit the perfect timing. They caught the north sleeping. It looked like it was going to be a rocket race. They send some, we send some. We save up some silo science, they save up some science. And with a 6,000 send to begin with, at 117 minutes into the game, Jimmy sent 6,000 science, white science, the strongest science you can use to evolve the bugs, which evolved them by 143% and added over 300,000 bugs onto the pitch, spawning that level of threat. They've been sending ever since, and as you can see, the north space is basically on fire. I mean, it can't get much worse than this. Oh no, it can. The moment you lose labs, that's game. Not only are you losing labs, you're losing the modules inside of them, the science inside of them destroyed as well, and you lose your capacity to tech your way out of a problem. So, yeah, it's and weirdly the monster power block survives. Like, I don't know how that happens, but yeah, the South Korea this time around seem to have yeah, I agree with you, Cog. I do agree with you. The North, they played it right, but they had I go back to, like, there were a couple of minor issues at the beginning and middle part of the game that slowed them down a little bit. Now, they are producing rockets. I would argue that maybe it's tightening up, you know, that mid game would put them on a par with the South. And as we can see here, as the North are falling to pieces, a rocket is just blasting off to space. In fact, let's see if I can capture this in one screen. A rocket in the north. Look at this, rocket here from the south, behemoths in the north. Oh god, is that the thumbnail? I think I found the thumbnail for the YouTube video. Spoiler alert, guess who wins this game? Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a real shame. The North's captain, by the way, is Joshua. He's played an incredibly good game. You know, the games are quick now. And another 1,000 goes across from the south to the north. Bots are a deviation from... So we've gotten to a meta now that's so fast that deviating away from the main line... did you write that? No, remember guys, this isn't the final, so we won't be interviewing the winners and the losers of this particular game. However, we will be talking at the final, the grand final, to the winners and losers of that game. Yeah, we don't go for bots yet, purely because of a timing thing. The game has been refined to such a point where we can't deviate much off of the main line. And when I say deviate, what I mean by that is by going for some luxury techs. Robots in a later, so like I'm Too Young to Die, I think robots could be used and implemented because of the timing that you have in order to kind of get your base up and running. Again guys, if an advert plays, I'm really sorry. I'm hitting snooze as much as I can, but I keep getting a countdown for a timer, so I'm hoping that, you know, the game wraps its... Oh, here we go, yeah, I mean, there's not much now getting in the way. A few minor iron boxes will not stop, as unfortunately a rocket sits in the silo as it explodes. GG's are called, the South take the game. What a game. And it ended up at being 187%. Quick GG's in chat. GG's well played. The fishes have been freed. The South take it. And I genuinely think that the North had control up until the point where the South regained control through Threat Farm. And again, look, one big long lined wall here is so much easier to defend than lots of these crooked elbows that we saw get taken out. In fact, if we look, almost every elbow in this particular build has been destroyed. So they've been chewed through effectively. I can go into detail as to why 90-degree bends are bad for walls, but just know that if you're building a 90-degree bend, you don't want to have more than 2 of them in a build. It's why we will build boxes, you know, kind of squared out boxes, so there are 2 shoulders to the base. But ultimately, it's oh damn! Welcome Raiders. Hello. Sorry, we've literally just come to the end of the game.